repeated rehearsals, and plenty of fine-tuning. We are continually tweaking our approach because the art of public speaking is evolving in real time. But judging by public response, our basic regimen works well. Since we began putting TED Talks online in 2006, they've been viewed more than 1 billion times. On the basis of this experience, I'm convinced that giving a good talk is highly coachable. In a matter of hours, a speaker's content and delivery can be transformed from muddled to mesmerizing. And while my team's experience has focused on TED's 18 minutes or shorter format, the lessons we've learned are surely useful to other presenters. Whether it's a CEO doing an IPO roadshow, a brand manager unveiling a new product, or a startup pitching to VCs. Frame your story. There's no way you can give a good talk unless you have something worth talking about. Conceptualizing and framing what you want to say is the most vital part of preparation. We all know that humans are wired to listen to stories, and metaphors abound for the narrative structures that work best to engage people. When I think about compelling presentations, I think about taking an audience on a journey. A successful talk is a little miracle. People see the world differently afterward. If you frame the talk as a journey, the biggest decisions are figuring out where to start and where to end. To find the right place to start, consider what people in the audience already know about your subject and how much they care about it. If you assume they have more knowledge or interest than they do, or if you start using jargon or get too technical, you'll lose them. The most engaging speakers do a superb job of very quickly introducing the topic, explaining why they care so deeply about it, and convincing the audience members that they should too. The biggest problem I see in first drafts of presentations is that they try to cover too much ground. You can't summarize an entire career in a single talk. If you try to cram in everything you know, you won't have time to include key details, and your talk will disappear into abstract language that may make sense if your listeners are familiar with the subject matter, but will be completely opaque if they're new to it. You need specific examples to flesh out your ideas. So limit the scope of your talk to that which can be explained and brought to life with examples in the available time. Much of the early feedback we give aims to correct the impulse to sweep too broadly. Instead, go deeper. Give more detail. Don't tell us about your entire field of study. Tell us about your unique contribution. Of course, it can be just as damaging to over-explain or painstakingly draw out the implications of a talk. And there the remedy is different. Remember that the people in the audience are intelligent. Let them figure some things out for themselves. Let them draw their own conclusions. Many of the best talks have a narrative structure that loosely follows a detective story. The speaker starts out by presenting a problem and then describes the search for a solution. There's an aha moment, and the audience's perspective shifts in a meaningful way. If a talk fails, it's almost always because the speaker didn't frame it correctly, misjudged the audience's level of interest, or neglected to tell a story. Even if the topic is important, random pontification without narrative is always deeply unsatisfying. There's no progression, and you don't feel that you're learning. I was at an energy conference recently where two people, a city mayor and a former governor, gave back-to-back talks. The mayor's talk was essentially a list of impressive projects his city had undertaken. It came off as boasting, like a report card or an advertisement for his re-election. It quickly got boring. When the governor spoke, she didn't list achievements. Instead, she shared an idea. Yes, she recounted anecdotes from her time in office, but the idea was central, and the stories explanatory or illustrative, and also funny. It was so much more interesting. The mayor's underlying point seemed to be how great he was, while the governor's message was, here's a compelling idea that would benefit us all. As a general rule, people are not very interested in talks about organizations or institutions, unless they're members of them. Ideas and stories fascinate us.